Building muscle is 70+% all about your diet. This is Master Your Nutrition, and in this episode we're going to talk about how you can really utilise dairy products even if you're lactose intolerant, because milk is a great source of protein. It's fantastic at building muscle, so we're going to tell you right now how you can remaster your nutrition with milk. Here we start right now. Hey everybody, Jason Davis here at Body Remastered, back again with another video. We're starting off a new series called Remastering Nutrition, and we're going to go through a load of these different videos, all about muscle food and drink alternatives. So for example, if you're eating a certain food and you really want to improve and optimize your building muscle approach, you know, total muscle growth, but also increase your strength, then there's certain foods that can help you along the way in order to do that. Diet cannot be ignored when building muscle. And remember, we're all about building, strengthening and toning our bodies, so it's important to have a healthy, balanced diet. But balance is the key word here. I'm not going to give you foods and drinks which are just unrealistic, require maybe too much time. You know, I want to relate to busy individuals, people that have got other careers, other families, things that they're doing, but how can you make a small improvement to make it a little bit better, more sustainable, and help you along that journey in building, strengthening and toning your body. So before we go any further, please subscribe to this video if you haven't already, because there's going to be so much more videos on remastering your nutrition. If you're interested in food and building muscle, you don't want to miss out on future videos. Please like as well, so we'll get straight onto it so you don't miss out on a thing. So this particular video is all about milk and building muscle, but also dairy products, yogurts and other alternatives. Now, if you're not a fan of milk, maybe you've got an allergy to milk, don't worry, because as I said, I'm going to be looking at plant-based options and alternatives in here as well. Now, I don't necessarily eat or drink plant-based foods all the time, but particularly for milk, it's been a great option and alternative. My partner follows the FODMAP diet plan. I'm not even going to start to try to pronounce the words in terms of FODMAP, but it's here on the screen. But FODMAP is all about alternatives for someone who suffers from irritable bowel syndrome. And it's also really useful for someone who's trying to build muscle, because if you're not particularly fond of dairy products, or you find them hard to ingest, or again, maybe you're allergic to them, it's a great other option. And the reason it is because milk is a real important inclusion in somebody who's trying to build muscle. I'd actually go as far as saying milk is superior for muscle growth. It's so important. It contains the protein leucine, which is a branched chain amino acid. And that is really key, and it can be easily absorbed into the body, and it's really important for muscle regrowth. And remember when I talk about Body Remastered, it's not just actually breaking down the muscles, causing muscle damage and molecular stress. What actually grows the muscle and actually makes you stronger in the end is the regrowth. It's the reformulating and repairing of the muscle fibers. And milk really supports that repairing process. Not to mention, milk is packed with tons of nutrients. It contains substances like calcium, vitamin D and phosphorus. Not to mention, it also contains a really important protein called casein. Now, casein is a slow absorbing substance, which is really important again for muscle growth and repair. Casein actually makes up for about 70 to 80% of the milk content. So it's really important, and it's key for muscle regrowth. And as I said, because it's slow absorbing, it's particularly key at night. That's why it can be effective to have a glass of milk before you go to bed, so you get that slow absorbing protein, so you can start repairing the muscles and have protein repair all across the night. Because obviously you're not eating during the night, you're during a fasted period. Of course, as mentioned before, calcium. Calcium is so important for your bones. As I said, bone osteoporosis, which is the breakdown of bones as we age, becomes worse. So bones, along with muscles, can degrade through time. Make sure you get enough calcium in your diet, and an easy way to do that is through making sure you have enough dairy products so you're getting the calcium that you need. So, what's the problem? Go and have a glass of milk and that's the end of this video. It's not quite. The problem with milk, even various types of milk, even semi-skimmed milk, is the fat content sometimes, but also the sugar content. And that's why you really got to understand the nutrition. That's why this is about remastering nutrition, because yeah, you might have a high protein content, but the ratio between the protein versus the sugar, or even the ratio between the carbs versus the sugar, isn't what you want it to be, and you're just going to be putting on more body fat, as opposed to that will outweigh the benefits of that you're going to get through muscle growth. And the other disadvantage of milk, as I said before, is that it's a key allergen for a lot of people. It causes intolerance, digestive issues. It can even make you start swelling, come up with hives. Some people are seriously very, very allergic to milk, and they can't have any types of form of milk. And that's not uncommon in the population. So let's have a little look at milk, a bit closer look at the different types of milk. I mean, we've all seen them in supermarkets, but let's just break it down in terms of the fat content. Remember about saturated fats, trans fats, and unsaturated fats. And actually, if you check out www.bodyremaster.com, because we have a resource, if you subscribe, it gives you a one great page in terms of the fats to avoid and the fats not to. Interesting enough, saturated fats aren't all bad. Trans fats is what you've got to avoid. But saturated fats can have some benefits, but ultimately you want unsaturated fats and the saturated fat content to be lower, and that's where milk comes in particularly. Just have a quick look at the breakdown of milk. So we've all seen milk in the supermarkets, and I think we're quite aware, but do we always look at the detail on the amount of fat, particularly saturated fat, but overall fat content? And that's the big difference between some of these milks, and why I changed to semi-skimmed before, when I enjoyed whole fat milk. So let's start off. So whole fat milk typically is about 3.25% fat content. Sometimes it'll be up to 3.5%. Then you've got low fat milk, which is about 1% fat content. So a big reduction there between whole fat milk and low fat. And then you've got semi-skimmed, which is about 0.5% fat, overall fat content within the semi-skimmed. So not an actual huge difference between low fat and semi-skimmed. So what are my thoughts on this? So as I said, I went to semi-skimmed because it's lower fat content, and that helped me to maintain a lean body, so I'm increasing my muscle mass but without putting on too much excess fat. But there are other options. As I said, my partner followed the FODMAP diet, and she went on to oats milk. And oat milk, I thought let's give oat milk a try. Now I'm quite sweet tooth, so I do like sweet, I do have a sweet taste. And when I tried the oat milk, actually it's got that creamier taste, a sweeter taste than semi-skimmed. So I thought surely this is not as healthy. But actually, when you break down the nutritional information, I've got it right here on the screen, you can see that actually the fat content is higher, a lot higher in whole fat cow's milk than it is in oat milk. Also, the sugar content is a little bit higher in cow's milk compared to oat milk. Now, the protein content you're going to get from cow's milk will be higher. But remember, there's that ratio between the amount of protein you're getting versus the amount of fat and sugar that you're also taking in. Because otherwise, you're having, especially at night when you get, or after your exercise, when you're getting the real benefit of having milk to repair the muscles, you don't want to be putting on too much excess fat through sugar intake or through poor fat intake. So it's really important to balance those out. And actually you can see, if you break down the fat content, there's a much higher saturated fat amount in cow's milk, about 2.3 grams versus 0.2 than oat milk. So it's a much better option overall, where you get your protein still, but also you're not getting too much of the bad stuff that comes with cow's milk. Okay, another great source of protein you get again through the dairy is yogurts. Now I love yogurts because usually they're very high. If you go out and check in the supermarket and you see different types of yogurts, one of the things you'd like to see is high protein content, and that's true. But remember, it's again important to select the right type of yogurt. I often had yogurts at different types of the day to increase my protein intake, to accelerate muscle growth, but not realising actually the sugar content for some of these were very high, and also some of the poor fats were included as well. And it's also make sure you portion it out correctly throughout the day, not to have too much in any one serving. So one of the things I changed to was Skyr. Skyr yogurts, which were much better in terms of the ratio of protein versus the amount of sugar. So that, you know, compared to some of the typical branded Danone yogurts where you get a lot of sugar content in some of their yogurts, especially if it's, you know, after a chocolate bar, Aero yogurt, or I think something like that, which is nice, but you still want to get the nice sweet taste, but have a lower actual sugar content. Remember, the carb to sugar ratio is the important thing to look at. Carbs aren't bad. They're really important, in fact. So don't exclude an item from the supermarket if it's got a high carb content, but you don't necessarily want a high sugar content. And if you do have a high sugar content, make sure you have those at the right times of the day. So for example, having some sugar just before your workout, especially if it's cardio, is perfect. Having a bit of sugar just after your workout could be perfect as well in terms of the energy that you need to restore. But again, making it at the right time is really important. So I switched to Skyr yogurts, where a much different type of protein content and saturated fat and carbs content. The other thing, what I actually called was a bowl of lovely, which consists of yogurts, muesli, and also cashew nuts, plain cashew nuts. Now, although it sounds boring, actually you get a lot of sweetness from the raisins in the muesli and also the yogurts, but the healthy types of Skyr yogurt you can even get the flavoured types of Skyr yogurts, but again, it's that the sugar content is lower, and it will be packed with the right proteins that you need, and also you get a higher protein content in nuts, which is also key. But of course, you might be allergic to some of these things, so don't, you know, make sure you check that you can have some of these things before you try them. But it's great, an easy snack, the right type of snack if you're on the road, you're busy, and you need to quickly get in some protein. I also have some examples of butter transfer, butter alternatives, plant-based butter particularly, where again, you've got a better saturated fat level and you've got a better sugar level. But again, please check out www.bodymaster.com for a full blog article where I give you the breakdown of the milk, I give the breakdown of the yogurts, and also, as I said, the different types of butter that I've transferred to. So as I said, thanks very much for watching the video. This is the first one on dairy products. The next one could be on a completely different type of food or drink. So we'll touch on everything. And remember, we're not trying to change diet to a boring diet or something that's just not sustainable. Remember, it's okay to have cheat meals, it's okay to have weekend changes, because that's normal life, right? It's important to socialise with your friends and everything like that, and I have to do it, but it's about balancing it. And if you can have every so often an alternative where you don't lose out on the taste, but it's actually a little bit healthier, it will help you on your journey, and you won't feel so guilty all the time. So, thanks very much for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and look out for the next video on remastering nutrition. Thanks a lot. Bye.